Welcome to the Shit You Should Wipe podcast with me, Dr. Debbie, your clarity wizard, life coach, and ex-scientist. This is the place for kind humans who want their life to feel as good on the inside as they look on the outside, to achieve their life transition goals and live by design, not by default, who want to experience personal growth, not personal change, and who want to experience more clarity, joy, and bravery. So if you want to know what that means in practice, keep listening. Hello, dear human. Welcome back to this podcast. And thank you so much for taking the time to listen to me. I truly, deeply appreciate it. And the more you listen to me, the more I want to create episodes for you to listen to. So if you have ideas, topic, or requests, make sure you send them to me. So today, I want to talk about another topic I'm very passionate about. And it's the so-called midlife crisis. And how annoyed I am that people still call that a crisis. Because in reality, there is no effing crisis. There's just a fact of life. But before I get into this, I want to share with you a story. So when I started my business as a life coach, I went to a networking event and, tested out different ways to introduce myself and explain what I did. And as I do now, I use the terms life coach and clarity wizard. And then one very well-intended woman told me something along the lines of, Deborah, don't say you're a life coach. Just say you're a clarity wizard. Otherwise, people will think, another one of those women who had a midlife crisis. And I have to say, I was completely stunned. Not so much because it hurt me, because until then, it hadn't really occurred to me. And the more I thought about it, the more I realized also it implied that having a midlife crisis was a bad thing. So when I got home, I had to think about it. I talked it out with my husband. And then a few days later, I researched it a little. And I was surprised that that was the first thing that she thought about and that I hadn't really considered it. And here is why. I think it because it depends what you think a midlife crisis is, right? In movies, the midlife crisis is pictured as, let's say, a 50-year-old man buying a red car, or as a stay-at-home wife leaving her golden cage to experience life. But that is not it's not a midlife crisis. This is the somewhat overly dramatic possible consequence of a midlife crisis. What's called the quote-unquote midlife crisis is actually a fact of life. There is, in fact, many scientific studies that have shown that there's a U-shaped pattern if you plot life satisfaction against age that reaches its bottom around the 40s, right? There's even a study done on 500 chimpanzees and orangutan, I'm not sure how to pronounce that, that shows that same curve with a dip in their 30s. So maybe it's even in all primates, who knows? More interestingly, there is also a human study that shows an eel-shaped pattern when plotting antidepressant against age. Interesting, right? It's like the opposite of the U-shape curve for life satisfaction. So what happens? In reality, what happens is when we reach our late 30s, two things happen. The first one is we start to realize that time is finite. Because until then, we spend our time as if it were infinite. But when, for some of us, parents start to die and things get realer, we realize that saying yes to something is choosing to exclude something else. Saying yes to something is choosing to exclude something else. And by the way, that is also a very big realization to have if you want to get better at time management, which I discussed in episode 6, I believe. The second thing that happens is by our late 30s, most of us will have checked all or most of the boxes we thought we needed to check in order to be happy and fulfilled. And so we get there and we're left with the question, is that it? And that is that it is, well, those two reasons is why some people go looking for more personal realization, or start trying new things that they've never tried, which some people call a crisis instead, because they're doing this instead of the more socially acceptable practice of popping antidepressants. And I don't know why that should be, or that would be a bad thing. In fact, I wish more people had midlife crises. I wish more people spend time thinking about what truly makes them happy and fulfilled, questioning our social constructs, daring to do things to figure out what they like, who they are, and how they want to be. In fact, the sooner the better. I wish we didn't wait to be in our late 30s or 40s or even 50s. So if you feel like or want to try and explore new things or reinvent yourself, but don't because you're afraid people will think you're having a midlife crisis, know that you have at least one supporter. It's me. And please wipe that idea that it is a crisis. It's a fact of life. You know, those people who are afraid will judge you, they're most likely feeling the same as you and most likely taking antidepressant for it. Not that there is anything wrong with taking antidepressant. Sometimes it's necessary. What I'm saying is you can be the courageous, and let's face it, you have to be somewhat courageous because it won't be comfortable at first. You can be the courageous one, but also the fulfilled one. Right? So go for it. And by go for it, I do not mean throw everything out the window. By go for it, I mean get to know yourself better. Experiment. Have fun. Make more deliberate choices about what you spend your time on. That's what I mean. You know why older people are happier, as you know, measured in those same studies? I think it's because they stop giving a shit. Because they have less time left than time has gone. But you don't have to wait for that, right? You can just decide today to stop giving a shit. Sorry for swearing, but not really sorry. Okay, final words. There is no crisis. Okay, so get on with your midlife adjustments. Okay, lots of love and bye. And if you want fresh wipes and actionable tips every single week in your inbox, you better get on my email list. It's called the Brain Wipes. Also make sure to download The Mental Offload. It's my free ebook to learn how to start wiping things off your to-do list. It's been known to help people save precious time and energy. It's also been called what everybody's psychic butthole needs.